Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again. After recovering from the hangover of Zolani Tete's cancelled fight with Nonito Danari, we are back again. It's good times. It's Cinco de Mayo, Mexican holiday, and that, of course, means that we will have some great boxing, and that's what we'll get on Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We have Saul Canelo Alvarez going up against Daniel Miracle Man Jacobs for almost all the middleweight marbles. Canelo is, of course, a WBA, WBC, and Ring Magazine unified middleweight champion of the world, while Daniel Jacobs holds the IBF belt. So, an intriguing matchup between the two best middleweights in the world, or the three best middleweights in the world, depending on how you feel about the decision between Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin in their last fight. For the record, I had Triple G winning the first one, and I had Alvarez winning the second one. I thought both fights were actually very close. So now we're going to have him up against Daniel Jacobs. And Alvarez has some good momentum going now, because he avenged what many perceived to be a defeat against Golovkin in the first fight. And then he destroyed a completely overmatched Rocky Fielding for a fringe super middleweight belt in September and December last year, respectively. And his confidence is sky high. And I think also, people like to go on about Alvarez. He's a polarizing figure. Some love him, evidently, because he's a big money man in boxing, along with Anthony Joshua. Some hate him because of his A-side. That's all these unfair, corrupt privileges of the judges bending backwards in every close fight, and whether perceived or not, the lenient treatment of the tested positive for clenbuterol, which pushed the Golovkin rematch back to September, of course. But I would rather concentrate on the fact that you can't deny that Canelo has developed incrementally from fight to fight. He's, to me, a much more improved fighter from a guy who lost to Floyd Mayweather way back in 2013. And he's gone from strength to strength. If I look at the Golovkin fights, even if he didn't get those decisions, the first fight he moved really well, and he proved that he can actually box off a back foot. The second fight, he stood and he went Mexican style with Golovkin, and it showed that he can actually cut off a ring a little bit if he wants to. And he's got a chin like an anvil, because Golovkin touched him hard many times, and Alvarez just didn't go anywhere. He didn't go down. Golovkin couldn't stop him. So I think he's got one of the best chins in boxing, and his technique is very good as well. He really goes to the body in true Mexican style, long range, short range, and he has a pretty solid jab. Now, what is up with Daniel Jacobs? Daniel Jacobs lost his first world title shot, I think it was in way back in 2010 or something, against Dmitry Pirog, when he was knocked out in 5 rounds with a vacant WBO middleweight title. And then he got, I believe it was bone cancer. People thought he wouldn't be able to walk again. Never mind, fight. And there he went, carrying on with his fighting career, reeling off 12 straight stoppage victories. The most impressive being a first-round knockout of ex-WBO champion Peter Quillen. And then he challenged Golovkin in 2017. And I was one of the many who expected him to put up a good show, because he's a tall, athletic, slick sort of middleweight. And but we all expected in the end, or most of us, that he will go home on his back or being rescued by the referee. Instead, he did hit the deck. Golovkin hit him with 2 rights when he was off balance, just as he was switching from orthodox to the southpaw stance. He went down, but he wasn't badly hurt, got up, and he gave almost as good as he got. I added a 1 or 2 round fight. Golovkin ran out a close winner. There were some that thought Jacobs did enough to win, but most agree that Golovkin won a close competitive fight. But it was a moral victory for Daniel Jacobs. Since then he won 3 fights on decision, all of them. The last one was a decision over Sergey Derevyanchenko, which got him the IBF, vacant IBF middleweight belt. So he'll also be bringing a belt into the ring. Now, Daniel Jacobs, he's got a lot of good attributes. He's tall, he's got the reach. He has got the speed advantage over Canelo. He's swifter on his feet, he's got faster hands over 2. He's got a good jab, he can throw every punch in the book more or less well. I'm not sure if he punches harder than Canelo does. Canelo hasn't got quite the knockout percentage. He still has a very high one, but he has been there longer and he's fought a lot more top quality guys, many more top quality guys than Daniel Jacobs has. So I don't think I think Jacobs hits hard, but I don't think he is harder than Canelo. And I can't see him knocking out Canelo. That's the one thing that will surprise me. I don't think anybody in middleweight or as far as super middleweight is going to budge Canelo really. You'll have to go up to light heavyweight for that to happen. So I can't see Daniel Jacobs stopping Canelo. The thing that worries me about Daniel Jacobs is he does so well in spots, but he struggles to put it all together consistently in one fight. He uses his jab nicely, and then he forgets about it in the next round. Or he boxes brilliantly, and then he sort of loses interest and he falls asleep on the job. And he starts taking punches like he did against Masai Suleski and against Derevanchenko. He won well enough, but those guys touched him too often for my liking. I think he gets hit too much. Golovkin was having a lot of success with his jab, being a shorter guy against Jacobs. Derevanchenko beat him with cuffing sort of punches on the inside. Second half of his fight against Suleski, he was boxing beautifully, and then Suleski just kept tagging of right hands after right hands. Now Suleski, Derevanchenko, these guys are good world-class fighters, but they're not elite. Now, I think Jacobs fights up and down to the level of his opponent a little bit. He'll be tighter and he'll be more on point on Saturday night. But to win, he's going to have to take all the best bits of all his best performances and combine them into one fight and keep his concentration going all through the 12 rounds. He's going to need to use the jab consistently, not just on and off, use it consistently, lands those straight right hands, move away, give Canelo a lot of different looks, make him set and reset. If he wants to do that switch, I think, thing from the orthodox to the southpaw, he does it quite smoothly. I'm not a fan of that technique, but if he does that, better not do it along the ropes like he did against Golovkin, because then the same thing might happen to him. He might hit that canvas. So that would be it, but we'll also need to stand in spots and punch and get the better of the exchanges, because we all know the close grounds are going to go Canelo's way. So Jacobs are going to have to win 8 rounds, and he's going to have to win them clearly and not get knocked down to take the decision on Saturday. Because, as I've said, I can't see him icing Canelo. Perhaps it's worth it to try in the first round like he did against Quillen, because Canelo takes a round to get into it. But I'll be very surprised if that happens. So that's what Jacobs is going to need to do. Concentrate and box the perfect fight. Use his attributes consistently. As for Canelo, I would try and get my own jab in if I was him, to the body, to the chest. Hit Jacobs with the long shots to the body. Because that's one thing Triple G didn't do against Jacobs. Maybe he was wary of Jacobs' power, but he didn't work the body with any consistency. If Canelo can do this, get into that body of Jacobs, take away the game of a jab from him, I think he's A4 away that night. And then I think Canelo's got the tighter defense. He's got a very nice body sway and a way of avoiding punches in the pocket. So if he can make Jacobs open up, which Jacobs will have to do if he wants to win the fight, there will be those counter opportunities in between Jacobs' punches. And I just tend to think, and this is a hunch, I think the general wisdom is that Canelo wins a decision. But I have a hunch that the angle at which Canelo throws his punches, he really twists into them, and whereas Golovkin takes his punches to you more or less in a horizontal fashion and like that, Canelo comes underneath at awkward angles. He throws his hybrid hook uppercut, and then he throws his uppercut straight through the middle. And I think one of those punches are going to nail Jacobs, and he's going to hurt Jacobs. And this is my hunch. I think Jacobs is not going to survive it the way he survived it against Golovkin to finish a fight. So I think Canelo's confidence is sky high. He's got the momentum behind him. Jacobs has these lapses in concentration. You know, he depends too much on being a natural athlete, and I don't think he's 100% focused for every round like he needs to be all the time. There's little gaps in focus, and I think Canelo's going to nail Jacobs at some point. He's going to make a statement and let it lay down on him. So I'm going for Canelo Alvarez to make score a solid victory. Jacobs will have moments, he'll land a few shots, he'll frustrate him here and there, but I think somewhere around the 8th round, I think Canelo is going to hurt Jacobs and he's going to stop him. Well, that's it from me. Please give a channel a like and a subscribe, and tell me in the comment sections what you think. And until then, remember to keep those gloves up.